Clara's fingers bled through her torn gloves as she clawed at the frozen earth. Not digging for food anymore. Digging a hole to die in. 20 below zero. No food for 3 days. The town had buried her reputation 18 months ago. Now she figured she'd finish the job herself. Then hoofbeats. A stranger's voice cut through the wind. "I need a mother for my girls. You need to live. That's the trade." She looked up at the man who would change everything, or destroy what little she had left. Subscribe now. Follow Clara's journey to the very end and comment your city below. Let me know how far this story travels. Montana Territory. January 1878. The shovel slipped from Clara's hands. She didn't pick it up. Couldn't. Her fingers had stopped working somewhere between the 10th and 20th strike against frozen ground. "Damn you," she whispered. Not to the shovel, not to the cold, to herself. 18 months. 18 months of fighting, and this was how Clara Jane Whitmore would die on her knees in the snow. 3 potatoes in her pocket, talking to herself like a madwoman. Daniel would have laughed. "You and your pride," he'd say. "Gonna be the death of you, Clara Jane." He was right. He was always right. And he was dead. She heard the horse before she saw it. Her hand found the shovel again, not as a tool, as a weapon. A rider came over the ridge. Big man. Good horse. Too good for these parts. "You Clara Whitmore?" She tightened her grip. "Who's asking?" "Jacob Callahan." The name hit her like a fist. Every woman in Montana knew that name. The Callahan Ranch. Cattle. Horses. Money. His wife died 2 years back, scarlet fever. Left him with 2 girls and a silence so heavy the whole territory felt it. "I know who you are," Clara said. "What I don't know is why you're on my land." He dismounted, walked toward her like he had all the time in the world, stopped 10 feet away and looked at her. Really looked at her bleeding hands, her hollow cheeks, her cabin with no roof. "When's the last time you ate?" "None of your business." 3 days? 4. I said, "I got a proposition." Clara's laugh came out sharp, ugly. "I ain't that kind of woman, Mr. Callahan. I know exactly what kind of woman you are." His voice didn't change, steady as stone. "You're the kind who'd rather die than beg. The kind who's been digging her own grave because asking for help feels worse than freezing." She said nothing. What could she say? He'd described her exactly. "I got 2 daughters," Jake said. "Lucy's 9, Rosie's 6. Their mama's been gone 2 years. He paused, took a breath. "They're forgetting things, Mrs. Whitmore. How to laugh without feeling guilty. How to let someone hold them. Lucy barely speaks anymore. Rosie?" His voice caught. Just for a second. "Rosie asked me last week if I remembered what Mama's voice sounded like. I couldn't answer her." Clara's chest tightened. "I need someone to teach them how to be soft again," Jake continued. "Someone who knows what hard looks like. Someone who won't break. You don't know me. I know you've been up here 18 months while the whole town waited for you to die. I know Marshall Thornton spread lies about you after your husband's accident and you stayed anyway. I know you got more spine than any man in Millbrook." Clara flinched at Thornton's name, the man who owned the lumber company, the man who started the whispers. She pushed Daniel into dangerous work. She wanted more than a poor man could give. God punished her for her pride. "You know Thornton?" she asked. "I know what he is." "Then you know he won't let this go, whatever this is." "Let me worry about Thornton." Jake reached into his saddlebag, pulled out a bundle, set it on the ground between them. "Food, blankets, medicine, take it whether you say yes or no. I don't want charity. It ain't charity, it's an advance." "On what?" 1 month. You come to the ranch, help with the girls. Teach them whatever you know, reading, writing, how to be kind again. I'll pay you $30 a week, room and board. $30. More than Daniel ever made. More than she'd seen in 18 months. After 30 days, Jake said, if it suits us both, I'll ask you proper. Marriage, legal. You'd have my name, my protection. The girls would have a mother. The wind howled. Clara's hands shook not from cold anymore. Why me? Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. You could have anyone, younger, prettier, without a reputation that... I don't want younger or prettier. Then what do you want? Someone my girls can learn strength from. His eyes held hers. Gray, steady, certain. Someone who knows what it costs to keep standing when everything says fall down. Clara looked at the bundle on the ground, at her bleeding hands, at the cabin behind her, 4 walls and no roof, no food, no hope. Pride makes a poor blanket, Clara Jane. Her mother's voice. Dead 10 years, but still clear. 1 month, she heard herself say. 1 month. And I don't share your bed, not until I decide. If I decide. I sleep downstairs. Have since Mary Ellen passed. Couldn't stand the empty. The admission hung between them. 2 broken people trying to make something whole. I don't cook fancy, Clara said. We ain't fancy people. I won't pretend to be something I'm not. Wouldn't ask you to. She bent down, picked up the bundle. It was heavier than she expected. I need to get my things. I'll help. I can manage. I know you can. He didn't move. But you don't have to. Not anymore. They rode double, Clara's arms around his waist because there was nowhere else to put them. He was warm, solid, alive. She'd forgotten what that felt like, being close to someone breathing. Hold tight, Jake said. Trail's rough. I know how to ride. Never said you didn't. Silence. Then, everything you own in that bag. Clara thought of the spare dress, her mother's Bible, Daniel's photograph, the only proof he'd ever existed. Everything that matters. The ranch house appeared as the sun hit the mountains. 3 stories, 2 chimneys smoking, windows glowing warm. It's big, Clara said. Built it for a family. And now? Now it's too quiet. The front door flew open before they reached the porch. A blur of blonde curls and pink wool came racing across the snow. Papa! Papa! Jake dismounted, caught the small body as it launched at him. Easy, Rosie girl. Got someone with me. The child Rosie peered around her father's shoulder. Blue eyes, round cheeks, smile like sunrise. Who's that? This is Mrs. Whitmore. She's gonna stay with us a while. Like a visit. Like more than a visit. Rosie studied Clara with the intensity only children have. You have red hair. I do. Mama had yellow hair, like mine. Clara's throat tightened. I bet it was beautiful. It was. Rosie's voice dropped. I can't remember exactly what it looked like anymore. Lucy says that's okay, but I don't think so. There it is, Clara thought. The first crack. Jake set Rosie down. His face had gone tight. Another figure stood on the porch, taller, darker, still as stone. Lucy, Jake said. Come say hello. Lucy didn't move. Her eyes gray like her father's, hard, like winter fixed on Clara. Is she the cursed woman? The words hit like a slap. Lucy May. Mrs. Patterson said so. At church. Said she drove her husband to his death and God punished her. Clara felt the old anger rise, pushed it down. Lucy. Jake's voice went quiet, dangerous quiet. Where'd you hear that? Everyone says it. Everyone's wrong. How do you know? Because I know what a lie sounds like, and I know what truth looks like. He put his hand on Clara's shoulder. First time he'd touched her. This is truth. Mrs. Whitmore is staying. You will be respectful. We clear... Lucy's chin lifted. You can't make me like her. Never asked you to like her. Asked you to be respectful. Those ain't the same thing." Mother and daughter stared at each other. No, Clara corrected herself. Father and daughter. But Lucy's eyes held something old, something that had seen too much. "Fine," Lucy said finally, "but I'm watching." She turned and walked inside. Didn't look back. Rosie tugged at Clara's skirt. "Don't worry about Lucy. She's like that with everyone since Mama died. She used to be nice." "I'm sure she was. She was my best friend." Rosie's voice wobbled. "Now she barely talks to me. She says talking about Mama makes Papa sad, so we can't do it." Clara knelt in the snow, eye level with this small hurting child. "Can I tell you a secret?" Rosie nodded solemnly. "Sometimes talking about people we miss is exactly what we should do, because that's how we keep them alive. In here." Clara touched her own chest. "You understand?" Rosie's lip trembled. "I want to talk about Mama." "Then you can. Anytime. I'll listen. Promise." "Promise." Rosie threw her arms around Clara's neck. Small. Fierce. Holding on like Clara might disappear. Clara hugged back. Careful. Gentle. Like holding something made of glass. Over Rosie's shoulder she saw Jake watching. His face was stone, but his eyes were wet. Inside was warm, cluttered, alive in the way empty houses never are. Toys scattered on floors, drawings pinned to walls, a rocking horse in the corner with one ear chewed off. "Mr. Boots did that," Rosie explained, following Clara's gaze. "He's my bear. He eats things. Bears do have appetites. He's not a real bear." Rosie dropped her voice. "But don't tell him." Clara almost smiled. Almost. "Where do I sleep?" Jake gestured down the hall. "Room off the kitchen. Small, but it's got a window. Spring mornings you can see the whole valley." "I'll manage." "Didn't say you wouldn't." He paused. "Girls need supper. You hungry?" Clara's stomach answered before she could. Loud, embarrassing. Jake's mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. "I'll take that as a yes." Supper was beans and cornbread. Simple, hot. The best meal Clara had eaten in months. Rosie chattered through the whole thing about her dolls, her drawings, the snowman. She wanted to build the rabbit she'd seen yesterday. Lucy said nothing, ate with her eyes on her plate. Every few minutes she'd glance at Clara like she was measuring something. "She's waiting for me to fail," Clara realized. "Waiting for proof that I'm everything they said I was." Fair enough. Clara had spent 18 months waiting for the same thing. "Mrs. Whitmore." Clara looked up. Rosie was staring at her with those huge blue eyes. "Yes." "Do you know any songs?" The question hung in the air. Lucy's fork stopped moving. "I know a few," Clara said carefully. "Why, Mama used to sing us to sleep, every night. She had—" Rosie's voice cracked. "She had the prettiest voice, like bells Papa said, like bells in church." Jake set down his cup. His knuckles were white. "But I can't—" Rosie's eyes filled with tears. "I can't remember how the songs go anymore. I try and it's just gone. And Lucy won't sing because she says her voice isn't like Mama's and—" "Rosie." Lucy's voice was sharp. "Stop. I just want to remember." "Well, you can't." Lucy shoved back from the table. "She's dead. She's dead and she's not coming back, and singing won't change that." She ran. Footsteps pounding up the stairs. A door slammed. Rosie sobbed. Jake sat frozen, face gray. Clara stood. "Which way is her room?" Jake looked at her. "You don't have to—" "Which way?" "Top of the stairs. End of the hall." Clara walked. Each step felt heavy. What was she doing? She didn't know these children. didn't know their grief, had no right to intrude on pain this deep, but she kept walking anyway. The door at the end of the hall was closed. Clara knocked. "Go away. It's Mrs. Whitmore." "I said go away." Clara tried the handle. Unlocked. She pushed it open. Lucy sat on the bed, knees pulled to her chest, face wet. In her hands, she clutched a small photograph, a woman with yellow hair and a gentle smile. "I said, I heard you." Clara stepped inside, closed the door behind her. "I'm not very good at doing what I'm told." "That's what they say about you." "They say a lot of things about me. Most of it's lies." "How do I know you're not lying now?" Clara crossed to the bed, sat on the edge, not too close. "You don't. That's the thing about trust. Can't prove it ahead of time. You just have to decide." Lucy wiped her face with the back of her hand, angry at herself for crying. "I don't trust you. I know. I don't want you here. I know that too." "Then why are you still sitting there?" Clara looked at the photograph in Lucy's hands. The woman, Mary Ellen, had kind eyes, a soft mouth, the kind of face you'd want to come home to. "Because your mama looks like someone worth remembering." Lucy's breath caught. "And because your sister needs to remember, and you need to let her." "I can't." Lucy's voice broke. "Every time Rosie talks about Mama, I see her face. I see her lying in that bed calling for Papa, and he wasn't there. He wasn't there, and I was, and I couldn't do anything, I just watched her." The words dissolved into sobs. Clara didn't think, just moved, pulled this broken child into her arms and held on. Lucy fought at first, pushed, struggled, then collapsed, crying harder than she probably had since the funeral. "I was there," Lucy gasped. "I was there, and she kept asking for him, and I didn't know what to do. You were 7 years old. I should have done something. You were 7. I tried to make her drink water, but she couldn't swallow, and I tried to cool her face, but the fever wouldn't stop." Clara's own eyes burned. "That wasn't your fault. None of that was your fault. Then why does it feel like it was?" Clara pulled back, looked at this girl, this child who'd carried a woman's burden for 2 years. Because that's what grief does. It makes us believe we could have changed things, that if we'd been better, faster, stronger, we could have saved them. She tucked a strand of dark hair behind Lucy's ear. "Your husband told me the same thing once, after my husband died. I thought if I'd been different, if I'd wanted less, he'd still be alive." "Was it true?" "No. Daniel died because a tree fell wrong, because the lumber company didn't bother checking for rot, because a man named Thornton cared more about money than safety." Clara's voice hardened. "But they couldn't blame Thornton. He's rich, so they blamed me instead." Lucy stared at her. "That's not fair." "No, it ain't." "Is that why you were on that ridge, because they blamed you?" "Partly. Mostly I was there because I was too proud to leave, too stubborn to let them win." "Did it work?" Clara smiled. Sad. "True. I almost froze to death digging a hole for 3 potatoes. You tell me." Lucy was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly she held out the photograph. Her name was Mary Ellen. She made the best apple pie. She sang Amazing Grace every night. And Lucy's voice wavered. "She smelled like lavender. I'm scared I'll forget that too." Clara took the photograph, studied the gentle face. "Tell me more." "What?" "Tell me everything, every memory, every detail, and I'll help you remember." "Why would you do that?" "Because someone should have done it for me." Clara handed back the photograph. "I lost my husband, Lucy, and not one person in Millbrook let me talk about him. They just wanted me to disappear, pretend he never existed." "That's cruel." "Yes, it is." Clara stood. "I'm not going to be cruel to you, even if you hate me, even if you never trust me. I won't make you forget your mama." She walked to the door, stopped. Rosie needs to hear about her mother, about the songs and the apple pie and the lavender. She needs you to tell her. What if it hurts? It will hurt. That's how you know it matters. Clara opened the door. Mrs. Whitmore. She turned. Lucy's face was still tear-streaked, but something had shifted. Not trust, not yet. Something smaller. An opening. Thank you for not pretending. Clara nodded once, then walked out and closed the door behind her. Downstairs, Jake waited in the kitchen. Rosie had been put to bed. Clara could hear her small voice upstairs talking to someone. Lucy, probably. She okay? Jake asked. No, but she will be. Jake's jaw tightened. What she said about being there when Mary Ellen I didn't know. She never told me. She was 7. She watched her mother die and didn't know how to say it. Jake pressed his palms flat on the table. His shoulders shook. I wasn't there. I know. 3 days ride away. Chasing a cattle deal I didn't need. I thought there would be time. There never is. He looked up at her. This strong, wealthy, powerful man reduced to a father who'd failed. How do I fix it? You don't. You just keep showing up. Every day. Until they believe you won't leave again. And if they don't believe, you show up anyway. Silence. The fire crackled. Somewhere upstairs, a door opened and closed. Thornton. Jake's voice changed. Harder now. You mentioned him earlier. Clara's stomach tightened. What about him? He started the rumors about your husband. Yes. Why? Because Daniel died in one of his logging sites. A tree fell, rotten through. Should have been cut down months before. Clara's hands clenched. Thornton knew, everyone knew, but he didn't want to pay for proper inspections, so he blamed me instead. Said I pushed Daniel into dangerous work, that my ambition killed him. And people believed it. People believe whatever's easier. Believing me meant questioning Thornton, and Thornton owns half the town. Jake stood, walked to the window. His reflection stared back at him, a man making calculations. He owns the lumber company, the general store, got interests in the bank. I know. He's also got debts he thinks no one knows about. Owes money to men in Helena who don't forgive easy. Clara stared at him. How do you know that? Jake turned. His face was different now. Not the quiet rancher, something sharper. Because I own the bank. The words landed like stones. You what? The bank, the freight company, half the cattle operations in the territory. He said it simply, factually. I kept it quiet. People treat you different when they know you've got money. I didn't want different. I wanted to raise my girls in peace. Clara sat down slowly. Her legs had stopped working. You're rich. On paper. Why didn't you tell me? Wanted you to say yes for the right reasons. Not because I could buy you a big house and fancy dresses. Clara laughed. Couldn't help it. A strange, broken sound. I said yes because I was starving. I know. He sat across from her. But you didn't say yes when I first asked. You thought about it, asked about the girls, made conditions. A gold digger would have just grabbed. Maybe I'm a smart gold digger. Maybe. His mouth twitched. Don't think so, though. Why not? Because you went upstairs to comfort a child who hates you instead of staying down here making nice with me. Clara had no answer for that. Thornton's going to come after us, she said finally. When he finds out I'm here. That you're that let him come. You don't understand. He destroyed me. 18 months of watching everything fall apart because one man decided I was easier to blame than himself. I understand fine. Jake leaned forward. He destroyed you because you were alone. You're not alone anymore. I've been alone a long time. I'm used to it. Getting used to something doesn't make it right. The fire popped. Sparks flew up the chimney. 1 month, Clara said. That was the deal. Still is. And if Thornton makes trouble before then? Jake's eyes met hers. Gray. Steady. Something underneath that looked like hunger, not for her body, but for something harder to name. Then we handle it together. That's what this is, Clara. Whatever else we figure out, the girls, the marriage, all of it, we handle it together. Or not at all. Clara thought about the ridge, the frozen ground, the grave she'd been digging. She thought about Rosie's arms around her neck and Lucy's tears against her shoulder. She thought about Daniel, dead in the dirt, and Mary Ellen dead in her bed, and all the ways grief carves holes in people that never quite fill. Together, she said. Jake nodded. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's gonna be long. He stood, walked toward the stairs, stopped. Clara. First time he'd used her name. It felt different in his mouth. Warmer. Yes. Those flowers on your pillow, Rosie put them there. Pressed ones from a book Mary Ellen made. She wanted you to have something pretty. Clara's eyes stung. They're columbines, Mary Ellen's favorite. He climbed the stairs. His footsteps faded. Clara sat alone in the kitchen, listening to the wind outside, the creak of the house, settling the soft sounds of children sleeping above her. She walked to her small room. Found the flowers on the pillow, columbines faded purple carefully arranged. She sat on the bed's edge, flowers in her palm, and let herself feel it, the hope she'd been fighting. It was dangerous. It was stupid. It was everything that had gotten her hurt before. But it was there anyway. Growing. Stubborn as she was. 1 month, she told herself. See what happens. Outside, the storm arrived. Wind screaming. Snow piling against windows. Inside, Clara lay down, pressed flowers in her hand, and slept. Tomorrow would bring trouble. Lucy's walls. The town's whispers. Thornton's shadow. But tonight, for the first time in 18 months, she wasn't alone. Tonight, that was enough. Morning came cold and bright. Clara woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of small feet running overhead. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Reached for Daniel beside her. Found empty air. Then it came back. The ranch, the girls, the bargain. She dressed quickly, checked her reflection in the small mirror by the window. Hollow cheeks, dark circles, hair that hadn't seen a proper brush in weeks. You look like death, she told herself. Act like you don't. In the kitchen, Jake stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with the ease of a man who'd done it 1,000 times. Didn't take you for a cook, Clara said. Had to learn. Girls needed to eat. Most men would have hired someone. Most men ain't me. He slid a plate across the table. Sit. Eat. I can make my own. I know you can. But you don't have to. There it was again, that phrase. Clara sat. The pancakes were good. Better than good. She ate 3 before she realized how hungry she still was. More. I'm fine. You're lying. I'm polite. Jake almost smiled. Almost. Girls will be down soon. Lucy's slow in the mornings. Rosie's? The kitchen door burst open. Rosie flew in, still in her nightgown, blonde curls wild. You're still here. Clara blinked. Where else would I be? I don't know. People leave sometimes. I wanted to make sure. Rosie climbed onto the chair beside Clara, pressed close. Your hair is pretty. Can I touch it? Rosie? Jake's voice held warning. It's all right. Clara leaned down. Go ahead. Small fingers reached up, touched the auburn strands. It's soft, like a horse's mane, but prettier. Thank you, I think. Mama's hair was yellow, like corn silk, but this is nice too. Rosie pulled her hand back, suddenly serious. Are you staying forever? Clara's throat tightened. I don't know yet, sweetheart. But you might. I might. Good. Rosie nodded firmly. I asked God last night to make you stay. He usually listens when I ask nice. Jake turned away. His shoulders were shaking, laughing or crying, Clara couldn't tell. Lucy appeared in the doorway. She'd dressed herself, dark dress hair pulled back tight, too neat for a 9-year-old, too controlled. Morning, Lucy, Clara said. Lucy walked past her without a word, sat at the far end of the table, stared at her plate. Lucy May, Jake said. Mind your manners. Morning. One word, flat as stone. Clara let it go. Rome wasn't built in a day. I thought we might do lessons today, she said. Reading, writing, whatever you girls are working on. Rosie bounced. I'm learning my letters. I know A through G. That's wonderful. Lucy knows all of them. She can read whole books. That's even more wonderful. Lucy's fork scraped her plate. I don't need lessons from you. Lucy. What? The girl's eyes snapped to her father. She's not a real teacher. She's just... She stopped. Whatever word she'd been about to say stayed behind her teeth. Just what? Clara asked quietly. Lucy's chin lifted. Nothing. Say it. Clara. Jake started. No. Let her say it. Clara folded her hands on the table. What am I, Lucy? The girl's face flushed. Her jaw worked. You're just someone Papa found. Someone nobody wanted. Someone cursed. Lucy flinched. That's what they say, isn't it, in town? That I killed my husband with my wanting. That I'm bad luck. Clara kept her voice steady. You think if you get too close, whatever I have might rub off on you. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Silence. Rosie's eyes went wide, darting between them. Clara stood, walked to Lucy's end of the table, crouched beside her chair. I'm not cursed, Lucy. I'm just sad. There's a difference. How do you know? Because if I was really cursed, your father would have frozen to death on that ridge yesterday instead of finding me, and you and Rosie would be alone. Clara held the girl's gaze. Bad luck doesn't save people. It just hurts them. Lucy's eyes glistened. She looked away. Think about it, Clara said. She stood. Now, lessons. Both of you. Kitchen table in 10 minutes. She walked out before anyone could argue. The morning passed in fits and starts. Rosie was eager, bright, hungry for attention. She showed Clara every letter she knew, sounded out simple words, beamed at every bit of praise. Lucy sat apart. Did the work Clara assigned, reading passages, writing sentences, but offered nothing more. Every answer was short. Every look was guarded. Clara let her be. Pushing would only make it worse. Around midday, Jake came in from the barn. Snow dusted his shoulders. His face was tight. Storms passed, but another's coming. 3 days, maybe 4. That bad? Worse. We need supplies before it hits. I'm taking the wagon to town. Clara's stomach dropped. Town? Millbrook. Only place close enough. I know what Millbrook is. Jake pulled off his gloves. You don't have to come. Yes, I do. Clara. If I hide, they win. They'll say you're keeping me locked up. That you're ashamed. She lifted her chin. I won't give them that. Jake studied her. Something shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe. Or worry. It won't be easy. Nothing worth doing ever is. Papa? Rosie tugged at his sleeve. Can I come? Please. I want to show Mrs. Whitmore the candy store. Rosie. Please, please, please. Lucy looked up from her book. I'll go too. Everyone stared at her. What? Lucy closed the book. Someone has to watch Rosie. She'll wander off. I don't wander. You wandered into the pig pen last month. That was an accident. Jake held up his hand. Fine. Everyone goes. But you stay close. Both of you. Understood? Yes, Papa. Yes, Papa. Clara wasn't sure if this was better or worse. Having the girls there meant witnesses. It also meant more people to protect. She caught Jake's eye. He gave her a small nod. Together then, whatever came. The ride to Millbrook took an hour. Rosie chattered the whole way about the snow, the horses, the clouds, a dream she'd had about a talking rabbit. Lucy sat silent, watching the road. Clara watched the town approach. Watched the church steeple rise against the gray sky. Watched the windows of houses she used to know. Her hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her skirt. Nervous? Jake asked quietly. Terrified? You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. She looked at him. For me, not for them. They rolled down Main Street. Curtains twitched. Faces appeared in windows. A woman grabbed her child and hurried inside. They're staring, Rosie said. Let them stare, Clara answered. Jake pulled the wagon up to the general store. Thompson's Mercantile. The sign was faded, the paint peeling. Clara had bought her wedding dress fabric here 5 years ago. Had picked out curtains, with Daniel laughing about colors. That felt like another lifetime. They climbed down. Jake lifted Rosie, set her on the boardwalk. Lucy jumped down herself. Stay close, Jake said again. The store's bell jangled as they entered. Mrs. Thompson looked up from behind the counter. Her face went white. Mr. Callahan, I didn't expect... Her eyes found Clara. Oh. Morning, Mrs. Thompson. Jake's voice was pleasant. Dangerous pleasant. Need supplies. List is long. Of course, of course. Mrs. Thompson's hands fluttered. I'll just let me get Mr. Thompson. No need. We'll find what we need. Clara walked the aisles like she belonged there. Head high, back straight. She could feel eyes on her, Mrs. Thompson's and others too. A man by the flour bins. A woman examining fabric. She selected sugar, coffee, flour. Each item a small victory. Mrs. Whitmore. Clara turned. A young woman stood behind her, thin, pale, dark circles under her eyes. It took Clara a moment to place her. Martha Jennings. Her husband had died in the same logging accident as Daniel. Another widow. Another woman blamed. I heard you were dead, Martha whispered. We all thought. I'm not dead. No, I can see that. Martha glanced around nervously. You shouldn't be here. Thornton's men are everywhere. They'll tell him, let them. You don't understand. He's gotten worse. Since you left, Martha's voice dropped. He's done things. To the other widows. Made sure no one would hire us, house us. Rebecca Marsh lost her children. The county took them. Clara's blood went cold. What? Said she couldn't provide. Said she was unfit. Thornton has judges in his pocket. And you? Martha's laugh was hollow. I wash clothes, 16 hours a day. Still can't make enough. My landlord raised my rent last month, 3rd time since spring. Who's your landlord? Thornton. Of course it was. Martha, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. How could you? You were surviving. We all were. Martha touched Clara's arm. Be careful. Whatever you're doing with Callahan, be careful. Thornton won't like it. Mrs. Whitmore. Rosie's voice cut through the store. Clara turned, heart jumping. The little girl stood at the front counter, face bright. Look, they have peppermint sticks. Red ones. Rosie, not now. Please, Papa said I could have one if I was good, and I was good, wasn't I? I didn't wander once. Lucy appeared beside her sister. Her face was pale. Papa's outside. Someone came. Clara's stomach clenched. She looked at Martha, then walked quickly to the front of the store. Through the window she could see Jake on the boardwalk. He wasn't alone. A man stood facing him. Big, well-dressed, silver watch chain glinting on his vest, handlebar mustache, small eyes. Marshall Thornton. Clara's hand found the door, pushed it open. Keeping peculiar company, Callahan. Thornton's voice carried, loud enough for the gathering crowd to hear. Didn't think you were the type to take in strays. What I take in is my business. Jake's voice was ice. Is it, when the stray in question has a reputation that'd make a saloon girl blush? Watch your mouth, Thornton, or what you'll glare at me some more. Thornton laughed. You've got money, Callahan. I'll give you that. But money doesn't make you respectable, and neither does that woman. Clara stepped onto the boardwalk. Mr. Thornton? He turned. His eyes swept over her, slow, insulting. Mrs. Whitmore, my. I thought you'd crawled off somewhere to die. Sorry to disappoint. Not at all. I always enjoy a good resurrection story. He smiled, teeth too white. Though I wonder, does Mr. Callahan know what he's getting? Does he know about your husband? About the ambition that killed him? My husband was killed by a rotten tree that should have been cut down months before. A tree on your land, in your lumber operation. The smile didn't falter. Is that the story you're telling now? It's the truth. The truth. Thornton shook his head. The truth, Mrs. Whitmore, is that your husband was a reckless man who took a job too dangerous for his skills because his wife wanted things he couldn't afford. The truth is that 5 men died that day because of poor judgment, theirs and yours. Clara's hands shook. She pressed them against her sides. The truth, Mr. Thornton, is that you ignored safety reports. You cut corners. You knew those trees were dangerous, and you sent men up anyway, because paying for proper inspections would have hurt your profits. Thornton's smile hardened. Be very careful, Mrs. Whitmore. Or what? You'll spread more rumors, turn more people against me. Clara stepped closer. You already destroyed my life once. What else is there? There's always more to lose. Thornton's eyes flicked to Rosie standing wide-eyed in the doorway. Pretty little girl. Shame if something happened to her. Jake moved so fast Clara barely saw it. One moment he was beside her. The next he had Thornton by the collar, slamming him against the store's support post. You threaten my daughter again, Jake said, voice low and deadly. And I will end you. Papa! Rosie's voice was terrified. Get your hands off me, Callahan. There are witnesses. Good. Let them witness. Jake leaned closer. I know about your debts, Thornton. I know about the money you owe in Helena. I know about the bank loans coming due. And I know that if I decide to call them in, you're finished. Thornton's face went gray. You wouldn't. Try me. A long moment passed. Then Jake released him, stepped back. Thornton straightened his coat. His hands were shaking. This isn't over. No, it isn't. Jake's eyes were ice. But the next time you come near my family, it will be. Permanently. Thornton turned and walked away. His steps were quick, unsteady. The crowd parted for him. No one spoke. Clara let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Papa! Rosie ran to Jake, threw her arms around his legs. Papa, are you okay? I'm fine, Rosie girl. He picked her up, held her close. I'm fine. Lucy stood frozen in the doorway. Her face was white. Let's go home, Clara said quietly. We have enough supplies. Jake nodded. They loaded the wagon in silence. The crowd watched, but kept their distance. As they pulled away from Millbrook, Clara looked back once. Thornton stood on the corner watching them go. Even from a distance, she could see the hatred in his eyes. He won't forget this, she said. No. He'll come back. Harder. I know. Jake's jaw was tight. Let him. You meant it about his debts. Every word. Clara was quiet for a moment. You could have told me that you had that kind of power over him. Didn't want you to stay because I could protect you from him. Wanted you to stay because you wanted to. That's... Clara shook her head. That's either very noble or very stupid. Probably both. Despite everything, Clara almost smiled. Rosie had fallen asleep against Jake's shoulder. The confrontation had exhausted her. But Lucy... Lucy was watching Clara with new eyes. Not warm exactly, but considering, like she was solving a problem she hadn't known existed. "You stood up to him," Lucy said suddenly. Clara turned. "Yes. Everyone's scared of Mr. Thornton, even Papa a little, but you weren't." "I was terrified." "You didn't look terrified." "That's the trick, Lucy. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you're scared and you do it anyway." Lucy was quiet for a long moment. Then, "He said bad things about you." "Yes." "Were they true?" "Some of them. Twisted, but some." Clara chose her words carefully. "I did want things. A better life. A school for children in remote areas. I did push Daniel to work harder, earn more. But I didn't push him into that specific job. He chose that himself because he believed in my dreams." "Do you blame yourself?" Clara looked at this girl, this sharp, wounded watching girl. "Every day, but I'm learning not to, because blame doesn't bring him back. It just keeps me stuck." Lucy considered this. Then she did something unexpected. She moved closer, sat beside Clara on the wagon bench, not touching, but near. "I blame myself for Mama too," she said quietly, "even though I know I shouldn't." "I know. Does it get better?" "Slowly, with time, with people who understand." Lucy nodded, said nothing more, but she didn't move away either. That night after the girls were in bed, Clara and Jake sat in the kitchen. A single lamp burned between them. "He'll retaliate," Clara said. "Probably." "Soon?" "Hard to say. He's scared now, but scared men do stupid things." "What kind of stupid things?" Jake was quiet for a moment. "When Mary Ellen died, Thornton came to me. Offered to buy the ranch. Said a man alone with 2 small children couldn't manage such a large operation." "What did you tell him?" "I told him to go to hell." "And he accepted that?" "Not exactly. Fences got cut. Cattle went missing. Barn caught fire twice." Jake's voice was flat. "Nothing I could prove. Nothing the sheriff would touch. But it stopped. Eventually, I think he got distracted. Other targets." Jake looked at her. "You. The other widows." Clara thought of Martha, of Rebecca Marsh, whose children had been taken, of all the women Thornton had crushed while she'd been hiding on that ridge. "I should have stayed," she said. "Fought back. You would have died. At least I would have died standing." "No." Jake's voice was sharp. "Dead is dead. You can't fight back from a grave." "So what do we do? Just wait for him to come after us?" "No, we prepare, we build. We make sure that when he strikes, we're ready." "How?" Jake reached across the table. His hand covered hers, rough, warm, calloused. "Together. That's how." Clara looked at their hands. At this man who'd found her dying and offered her a life. "Why do you trust me?" she asked. "You barely know me." "I know enough." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I've got." He withdrew his hand. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow we start building." "Building what?" "Whatever we need to survive." Clara watched him walk away, heard his footsteps on the stairs, listened to the house settling around her. She thought about Thornton's face when Jake had slammed him against the post, about Lucy moving closer on the wagon bench, about Rosie's arms around her neck that morning, about the word Rosie had used so casually when they'd arrived home. "Mama Clara, can I have a cookie before bed?" Mama Clara? Clara hadn't corrected her, hadn't known what to say. Now, alone in the kitchen, she pressed her hand to her chest and felt her heart beating hard. Mama Clara. It was too soon, too fast, too much. But it was there anyway. Growing, taking root. Clara went to her small room, lay down on the narrow bed, and stared at the ceiling until exhaustion took her. Outside, the wind picked up. The second storm was coming. Inside, something else was building too. Something that scared her more than Thornton ever could. Hope. 2 weeks passed. The second storm came and went. Then a third. Clara fell into the rhythm of the ranch like she'd always been there. Mornings with the girls' lessons, chores, the small battles of daily life. Afternoons helping where she could. Evenings by the fire reading aloud while Rosie dozed and Lucy pretended not to listen. It wasn't peace exactly, but it was close. Rosie had started calling her Mama Clara openly now. Clara still didn't know how to feel about it. The word hit her chest like a fist every time. But she'd stopped correcting her. Lucy remained guarded, but the walls were cracking. Small things, a shared smile over Rosie's antics, a question about a word in her book. An evening when Lucy fell asleep against Clara's shoulder and didn't pull away when she woke. Progress. Slow, but real. Then the letter came. Jake found it nailed to the barn door one morning. No envelope, no signature. Just words cut from newspaper and pasted onto rough paper. Send her back where she came from, or everyone pays. Clara stared at it. Her hands were steady. Inside, everything shook. Thornton, she said. Probably. What do we do? Jake crumpled the paper, threw it in the fire. Nothing. He wants us scared. We don't give him that. Jake. I said nothing. His voice was hard. Final. We live our lives. We don't hide. That's how we win. But the letters kept coming. One a day. Then two. Each one uglier than the last. Cursed woman brings cursed luck. Your daughters deserve better than a murderer's widow. Send her away or watch everything burn. Clara burned them before the girls could see. But the weight of them stayed, pressed on her chest like stones. Day 20 of her arrangement. 10 days left to decide. She'd already decided. Had decided somewhere between Rosie's hugs and Lucy's slow thawing, and the way Jake looked at her across the dinner table like she was the answer to a question he'd been afraid to ask. But now she wondered if deciding was enough. If love, if that's what this was, could survive what was coming. The answer came on a Sunday. They went to church, all four of them. Clara's first time in Millbrook since the confrontation with Thornton. Jake insisted. Let them see, he said. Let them see, we're not afraid. Clara wore her best dress, the blue calico Jake had bought her. Rosie held her hand. Lucy walked beside her father, chin high, eyes forward. They looked like a family. Clara's heart ached with how much she wanted that to be true. The church fell silent when they entered, every head turned, every eye fixed on Clara. She walked down the aisle like she was walking to her own hanging, found a pew near the front, sat with her back straight and her hands folded and her heart pounding so hard she was sure everyone could hear it. Reverend Patterson. Mrs. Patterson's husband, the one whose wife had called Clara cursed, stood at the pulpit. His face was gray. Brothers and sisters, he began, and his voice shook. Before we begin today's service, there's a matter that needs addressing. Clara's stomach dropped. Jake's hand found hers. Squeezed. It has come to my attention, Patterson continued, that there are concerns about the company being kept by one of our congregation, about the message it sends to our community. What concerns? Jake's voice cut through the church like a blade. Patterson flinched. Mr. Callahan, please. No, you brought it up. Say it plain. Marshall Thornton rose from a pew near the back. His suit was immaculate. His smile was poison. Allow me, Reverend. He walked forward, each step measured. The concern is simple. Mrs. Whitmore, or whatever she's calling herself now, is a woman of questionable reputation. She drove her husband to his death. She was cast out of this community for good reason. And now she's attached herself to one of our wealthiest citizens, worming her way into his household, corrupting his children. That's a lie. Clara's voice came out stronger than she felt. Is it? Thornton's eyes glittered. Your husband died 18 months ago. In that time, you've lived alone on a ridge, refusing honest work, refusing to leave. Why? What were you waiting for? I wasn't waiting for anything. You were waiting for an opportunity. And when Jacob Callahan rode up with his money and his motherless daughters, you saw your chance. That's enough. Jake stood. His voice shook with barely contained rage. You're twisting everything. Am I? Thornton turned to face the congregation. This woman has been living under Mr. Callahan's roof for 3 weeks, sharing his table, caring for his children, and we're meant to believe it's all innocent, that she hasn't manipulated him, seduced him. Gasps rippled through the church. Clara felt her face flame. I haven't. The evidence speaks for itself. Thornton's voice rose. Ask yourselves what kind of woman moves into a man's house without marriage? What kind of woman lets his children call her mother? What kind of woman? The kind who had no other choice. Clara was on her feet. She didn't remember standing. You want to talk about evidence? Let's talk about evidence. Let's talk about the logging site where my husband died. Let's talk about the safety reports you ignored. Let's talk about the 5 men who died because you were too cheap to pay for proper inspections. Thornton's face went red. You have no proof. I don't need proof. Everyone in this room knows what you are. They've just been too scared to say it. Clara. Jake's voice was warning. She didn't stop. You destroyed me, Thornton. You destroyed Martha Jennings and Rebecca Marsh and every other woman who lost someone in that accident. You took our grief and you twisted it into shame, and you did it because you were afraid. Afraid that if we talked, if we asked questions, the truth would come out. The truth. Thornton laughed. The truth is that you're a gold-digging whore who... Jake moved, fast. His fist connected with Thornton's jaw with a crack that echoed through the church. Thornton stumbled. Fell. Blood dripped from his split lip. Papa! Rosie screamed. The church erupted. People shouting, moving, pressing forward. Someone grabbed Jake. Someone else pulled Clara back. Order, order! Reverend Patterson's voice was lost in the chaos. Thornton climbed to his feet. His eyes were wild. You'll regret that, Callahan. You'll all regret this. Get out. Jake's voice was deadly quiet. Get out of this church. This isn't over. It's over when I say it's over. Thornton wiped blood from his mouth, looked at Clara with hatred that made her blood run cold. Town meeting, he said. Tomorrow night. We'll settle this properly. Let the community decide if they want a woman like her in their midst. He turned and walked out. The doors slammed behind him. Silence. Then whispers. Then the slow rustle of people turning to stare at Clara. She stood frozen. Jake's hand found her arm, steadied her. Let's go, he said quietly. They walked out together. The girls followed Rosie, crying, Lucy pale as snow. No one tried to stop them. No one said a word. But Clara could feel their eyes. Judging, condemning, making up their minds. The ride home was silent. Rosie sobbed against Clara's shoulder. Lucy stared straight ahead, hands clenched in her lap. Jake drove like a man heading to war. When they reached the ranch, Clara helped the girls inside. Settled Rosie with warm milk. Sat with Lucy until the color returned to her face. Then she found Jake in the barn, saddling his horse. Where are you going? Town. Need to think. Jake. I shouldn't have hit him. His hands moved mechanically, tightening straps. Lost my temper. Gave him exactly what he wanted. He called me. I know what he called you. Jake's voice cracked. And I'd do it again. But it was still a mistake. Clara stepped closer. What happens tomorrow? Town meeting. They'll vote. Whether to accept you or not. And if they vote against me... Jake finally looked at her. His eyes were hollow. Then I don't know. You'd let them decide after everything. It's not about letting. It's about... He stopped, shook his head. I need to think. He mounted the horse, looked down at her. Stay with the girls. I'll be back before dark." Then he was gone. Clara stood in the barn listening to the hoofbeats fade. Her chest felt hollow, scraped out. She thought about the town meeting, about standing before all those faces that had already decided she was guilty, about Jake, who'd punched a man for her honor but couldn't say what would happen if the town turned against her. She thought about Rosie crying in the church, about Lucy pale and silent. She thought about leaving, walking away, ending this before it destroyed them all. Then she went inside and cooked dinner and pretended everything was fine. The girls knew it wasn't. Rosie barely ate. Lucy kept glancing at the door, waiting for her father to return. "Is Papa coming back?" Rosie asked. "Of course he is." "Promise?" Clara hesitated. She'd learned not to make promises she couldn't keep. "He said before dark, he'll be here." But dark came, and Jake didn't. Clara put the girls to bed, read to them from the Bible. Mary Ellen's Bible, the one Jake kept on the mantel, sang a hymn when Rosie asked, her voice rough and uncertain. "That was pretty," Rosie murmured, half asleep. "Different from Mama's, but pretty." Clara's throat closed. She kissed Rosie's forehead, tucked the blankets tight. Lucy was still awake, watching her. "He's not coming back," Lucy said. "He'll be back." "You don't know that. People say things and then they don't do them." Clara sat on the edge of Lucy's bed. "Your father is a man of his word. He said he'd be there when Mama died. He wasn't." The words hung in the air, sharp as knives. "Lucy, I'm not blaming him. I understand now. Things happen. But I'm not going to pretend everything's okay when it isn't." Lucy's eyes were too old, too knowing. "Something bad is going to happen tomorrow. I can feel it." "We don't know that." "Yes, we do. Mr. Thornton wants to hurt us, and the town will let him because they're scared." Clara had no answer, because Lucy was right. "Whatever happens," Clara said finally, "I want you to know something. These past 3 weeks being here with you and Rosie, they've been the best weeks I've had in a very long time." Lucy's expression shifted. Something cracked. "I didn't want to like you," she whispered. "I know. I thought if I liked you, I'd forget Mama." "You won't forget her. Ever. Loving new people doesn't erase the old ones. It just makes room." Lucy's eyes filled. She blinked hard, fighting them back. "What if they make you leave?" Clara couldn't lie. Not to this girl who'd seen too much truth already. "Then I'll go. But not because I want to. Because I don't have a choice." "That's not fair." "No, it isn't." Lucy was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something she'd never done before. She reached out and took Clara's hand. "I don't want you to go," she said. "I was wrong before. You're not cursed. You're just sad. Like me." Clara's vision blurred. She squeezed Lucy's hand. "Go to sleep, sweetheart. Whatever tomorrow brings, we'll face it together." She waited until Lucy's breathing evened out. Then she went downstairs and sat by the cold fire and waited for Jake to come home. He arrived near midnight. Clara heard the horse, then his boots on the porch. He came through the door slowly, like a man carrying something heavy. "Where were you?" "Riding. Thinking." He sat across from her. His face was haggard. "I went to see some people, men I trust. Asked what they thought about tomorrow. And they're scared, Clara. Everyone's scared of Thornton. He owns too much, controls too much." "What about you? Are you scared?" Jake met her eyes. "Terrified." "Of Thornton. Of losing you." Clara's heart stopped, started again. "Then fight for me." "I will. I swear I will. No matter what they say, no matter how they vote. No matter what." She wanted to believe him, needed to believe him, but she'd believe Daniel too. And Daniel was dead. "Tomorrow," she said. "We'll see." She went to bed alone, lay awake for hours, listening to Jake's footsteps below, pacing, pacing, pacing. The town meeting was held in the church. Same church where everything had fallen apart. Clara walked in with her head high, Jake beside her. The girls stayed home with Ruth Wilson, a neighbor who'd offered without being asked. The church was packed, every seat filled, people standing against the walls, faces Clara recognized, faces she didn't, all watching, waiting. Thornton stood at the front bandage on his jaw where Jake had hit him. His eyes found Clara immediately, held. Reverend Patterson called the meeting to order. "We're here to discuss a matter of community concern," he said. His voice was thin, weak. "Mr. Thornton has raised questions about the presence of Mrs. Whitmore in our community." "Not questions," Thornton interrupted. "Facts. This woman is a danger, a curse on decent folk. She destroyed one man, her husband, and now she's worming her way into another family. Are we going to stand by and let it happen?" "She hasn't done anything wrong." A voice from the crowd, Martha Jennings, standing in the back, face pale but defiant. "She killed her husband." "Her husband died in your logging operation. Maybe we should be asking questions about that instead." Murmurs rippled through the room. Thornton's face reddened. "This meeting isn't about me." "Maybe it should be." Martha stepped forward. "Daniel Whitmore wasn't the only man who died that day. My husband did too, and Rebecca's, and 3 others, all in the same accident, all in the same rotten section of forest that should have been cleared months before. That's speculation. It's the truth. You knew those trees were dangerous. You sent men up anyway because it was cheaper than doing it right." The murmurs grew louder, people shifting, looking at each other. Thornton's composure cracked. "This woman is trying to deflect. She's the one on trial here, not me. No one's on trial." Reverend Patterson's voice wavered. "We're simply discussing. We're discussing whether to drive out a woman who's done nothing but try to survive." Martha's voice rose. "A woman who lost everything and still kept going. A woman who's better than half the people in this room." "Enough!" Thornton's shout echoed. "I've heard enough. Let's put it to a vote. All in favor of demanding Mrs. Whitmore leave our community, raise your hands." Clara watched the hands go up, slowly at first, then faster. Half the room, more. Her heart sank. All opposed. Fewer hands, Martha's, a few others. Not enough. Clara felt the world tilt. "Mr. Callahan." Thornton's voice was silk over steel. "You haven't voted. Where do you stand?" Everyone turned to look at Jake. He stood frozen. His face was white. His hands shook at his sides. Clara watched him, waited, willed him to speak. "Say something, anything. Tell them they're wrong. Tell them you choose me." Jake opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The silence stretched. 1 second. 2. 10. Clara felt something inside her die. "Jake," she whispered. He looked at her. His eyes were wild, lost, like a man drowning. His voice cracked. "I can't. What, Mr. Callahan?" Thornton's smile was triumphant. "Can't defend her, can't stand against your neighbors, or can't admit you made a mistake bringing her here. That's not. Your silence speaks for itself." Thornton turned to the crowd. "Even the man who took her in can't find words to defend her. That tells us everything we need to know." Clara stepped back, then again. "Clara." Jake reached for her. "Don't." Her voice was ice. "Don't touch me. Please, let me explain." "Explain what?" "That when it mattered, when I needed you to stand, you couldn't." I froze. "I don't know why." "I do." Clara's eyes burned. "Because in the end, I'm not worth the risk. Not worth your reputation. Not worth fighting for." "That's not true. Then why didn't you speak?" Jake had no answer. Clara turned and walked toward the door. The crowd parted. No one stopped her. "Clara," Jake's voice broke. "Clara, please." She didn't look back. The cold hit her like a wall. Snow was falling thick, heavy, blinding. The worst storm of the winter, and she was walking into it. She didn't care. She walked, one foot in front of the other, away from the church, away from the town, away from the man who'd promised to stand beside her and then stood silent when it counted. Her feet found the road out of town, the road to the ridge, to her cabin unfinished, frozen, but hers. The wind screamed. The snow swallowed her footprints as fast as she made them. She heard hoofbeats behind her. Didn't stop. "Clara!" Jake's voice, desperate, close. "Clara, stop! You'll die out here." "Maybe that's better." He caught up to her, dismounted, grabbed her arm. "Let go of me." "No, not until you listen." "I listened. In that church I listened to nothing, because you said nothing." I know, and I'm sorry." "Sorry." Clara wrenched free. "Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't undo what just happened. They voted to drive me out and you stood there like a statue. It wasn't about you. Then what was it about?" Jake's face crumpled. "Mary Ellen." Clara stopped. "When she was dying." Jake said, voice raw. "She begged me to come home. Sent word 3 times. I kept saying I was on my way. Kept saying I'd be there. But I was too far. Too late. By the time I arrived, she was in the ground." He was shaking now. Not from cold. "The last thing I promised her was that I'd be there. And I wasn't. I failed her. I fail everyone I try to protect." "Jake." When I stood in that church, all I could see was her face, asking why I didn't come, why I wasn't there. And I couldn't speak. I couldn't make my voice work. It was like being trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake from. Clara's anger flickered, dimmed. "You should have told me." How do you tell someone that you're broken, that the thing they need most, someone to stand for them, is the thing you can't do? You do it anyway, because that's what trust means. Jake's head dropped. "I know. God, I know." The wind howled around them. Snow piled on their shoulders. "I'm still leaving," Clara said. "Don't." "I have to. After tonight, staying would only make things worse. For you, for the girls." "I don't care about the town." "But I do. I care about Lucy growing up with whispers following her. I care about Rosie losing friends because of me. I care about you losing everything you've built because you chose wrong." "You're not wrong. You're the best thing that's happened to us." "Then prove it." Clara's voice hardened. "Not with words, with actions. Find a way to fix this. Find proof about Thornton. Take him down. Then maybe I'll come back. And if I can't, then at least you'll know you tried." She started walking again. Into the storm. Into the dark. This time, Jake didn't follow. Clara woke to the smell of wood smoke and the sound of someone humming. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Her body ached. Her hands were numb. Her feet felt like they belonged to someone else. Then the memories crashed back. The church, the vote, Jake's silence, walking into the storm. She tried to sit up and gasped. "Easy there, child. You've been out for 2 days." A woman's face swam into view. Old, weathered, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed spectacles. "Who?" "Hattie Brennan. Run the boarding house on the edge of town." The woman pressed a warm cup into Clara's hands. "Drink. You're half frozen still." Clara sipped. Broth hot and salty. Her stomach cramped with hunger. "How did I—" "My boy found you. Quarter-mile from your old cabin, face down in a snowdrift. Another hour you'd have been dead." Clara closed her eyes. She hadn't meant to die. Had she? Maybe she had. "Your man's been looking for you," Hattie continued. "Jacob Callahan, Rode through here twice yesterday asking everyone if they'd seen you. He's not my man? That's so. Hattie's voice was dry. Funny. Way he was carrying on, I'd have sworn different. Clara said nothing. The broth burned her throat going down. Heard what happened at the church, Hattie said, settling into a chair beside the bed. Heard Thornton made quite a show of himself. He won. Did he? Hattie tilted her head. Way I see it, he showed his hand. Got half the town to vote against a woman who's done nothing wrong. That's not winning. That's making enemies. Doesn't feel that way. Never does. Not at first. Hattie took the empty cup from Clara's hands. But the truth has a way of coming out. Always does. Sometimes it just needs a little help. Clara looked at this stranger who'd saved her life. Why are you helping me? You don't know me. I know Thornton. That's enough. Hattie's face hardened. My husband died in his mines, 20 years ago before he moved into lumber. Same story, ignored safety warnings, blamed the workers, paid off the right people. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be angry. Anger keeps you alive. Clara thought about that. About the fire that had burned in her chest for 18 months, keeping her going when everything said stop. What happened to you? She asked. After your husband died. I survived, found work, built a life. Hattie's smile was thin. Wasn't easy, wasn't pretty, but I'm still here, and Thornton spent 20 years looking over his shoulder wondering when I'd come for him. And will you come for him? Maybe, if the right opportunity presents itself. Hattie stood. Rest now, you'll need your strength for what's coming. What's coming? But Hattie was already gone. Clara slept. When she woke again it was dark and there were voices in the next room. Can't just barge in here, Mr. Callahan. I'm not leaving until I see her. Jake's voice, desperate, raw. Clara's heart clenched. She needs rest. I need to know she's alive. She's alive. Now go. Please. Mrs. Brennan, please. Just let me see her. 1 minute. A pause. Then footsteps approaching. Clara closed her eyes. Pretended to sleep. The door opened. She felt him there, his presence filling the small room like heat from a fire. Clara. She didn't move. I know you're awake. I can tell by your breathing. Damn him. She opened her eyes. He stood in the doorway, hat in hands, face haggard. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Good. Say what you came to say, she said. He stepped closer, dropped to his knees beside the bed. I'm sorry. You said that already. I'll say it every day until you believe me. Words, Jake. Just words. Then let me show you. He reached into his coat, pulled out a folded paper. I found something. About Thornton. Clara's eyes narrowed. What kind of something? Safety reports, from the logging operation, from the day Daniel died. He unfolded the paper, held it up. Signed by the foreman stating that the section was unsafe. Recommending closure, dated 3 weeks before the accident. Clara's breath caught. Where did you get this Will Tucker? The name meant nothing to her. He was there that day, Jake continued. Worked the same crew as Daniel, survived the accident. Thornton paid him to keep quiet. Then why is he talking now? Because I offered him more, and because... Jake's voice dropped. Because his guilt was eating him alive. He watched 5 men die. He's been living with that for 18 months. Clara sat up slowly. Her body screamed in protest. She ignored it. This report. It proves Thornton knew. It proves he was warned 3 weeks before, and he sent men up anyway. That's not proof of murder. No, but it's proof of negligence. Criminal negligence. Enough to open an investigation. Enough to make people ask questions. Clara stared at the paper. At the words that could change everything. Why? She asked. Why now? Why not before? Because before I was hiding. From grief. From responsibility. From everything that mattered. Jake's eyes met hers. You changed that. I didn't do anything. You survived. When everything said die, you kept living. That's not nothing. That's everything. Clara's throat tightened. She looked away. It's not enough, she said. One report. Thornton will say it's forged. He'll say Tucker was paid to lie. I know. That's why I'm going to Helena. Helena? County records, court archives. If Thornton's been doing this for years and Hattie says there's more evidence, more reports, more witnesses. That could take weeks. Then it takes weeks. Jake stood. But first I need to know you'll be here when I get back. Clara looked at him. This man who'd failed her when it mattered most. Who'd stood silent while her world collapsed. Who was now kneeling before her offering everything he had. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't. I haven't earned it. His voice cracked. But I'm asking anyway. Not because I deserve it. Because I need the chance to prove I can be better. And if you fail again, then I'll keep trying until I don't. Clara was quiet for a long moment. The fire crackled. The wind howled outside. The girls, she said finally. What about Lucy and Rosie? Ruth Wilson's watching them. She'll stay until I get back. They must be terrified. They're angry. At me. Jake's jaw tightened. Lucy said I let you down, just like I let Mary Ellen down. She's right. Clara thought about Lucy, about that fierce wounded girl who'd finally started to trust. She needs you, Clara said. They both do. They need you too. Jake, I know you don't owe us anything. I know I have no right to ask, but those girls, his voice broke. They love you, Clara. Even Lucy, though she'd never admit it. If you leave, it won't just hurt me. It'll destroy them. The words hit her like a physical blow. She thought about Rosie's arms around her neck, about Lucy's hand reaching for hers in the dark, about the word that had slipped out so naturally, Mama Clara. I'll stay, she said, until you get back, but after that you decide. Whatever you choose, I'll accept it. He stood, walked to the door, stopped. Clara. Yes. I love you. The words hung in the air. Simple, raw, true. Clara said nothing, but something in her chest, something frozen and dead, started to thaw. Jake left. The door closed behind him. Clara lay back against the pillows and stared at the ceiling until morning came. 3 days later, she was strong enough to walk. Hattie helped her dress. Gave her a coat warm, well-made, nothing like the threadbare things she'd left behind. Where will you go? The ranch. The girls need me. And Callahan? He's in Helena, looking for evidence. Hattie nodded slowly. Good man, that one. Broken, but good. I thought you didn't like men. I don't like weak men. There's a difference. Hattie pressed something into Clara's hand. A small pouch. Money. Not much, but enough to get you started if things don't work out. Clara tried to give it back. I can't. You can, and you will. Hattie's grip was firm. Consider it an investment. In a woman, I think might change this town someday. Clara's eyes burned. Why do you believe in me? Because you remind me of myself. 40 years ago. Before I learned to hide. Hattie smiled, the first real smile Clara had seen from her. Don't make my mistakes, child. Don't let the bastards win. Clara hugged her, quick, fierce. Then she walked out into the cold. The ranch was quiet when she arrived. No smoke from the chimney, no movement in the yard. Clara's stomach dropped. She ran to the door, pushed it open. Lucy, Rosie! Nothing. She searched the house. Empty. Beds unmade. Breakfast dishes still on the table. Something was wrong. Clara! She spun. Ruth Wilson stood in the doorway, face white, eyes wild. Ruth! Where are the girls? They're gone. Thornton's men came this morning, took them. The world tilted. What? Said there was a concern. Said the county had questions about the children's welfare. They had papers, legal papers. Where did they take them? I don't know. I tried to stop them, but there were 3 of them, and they had guns. Clara didn't wait to hear more. She was already running. She found Thornton at his office in town, walked in without knocking. He looked up from his desk, smiled. Mrs. Whitmore, what a pleasant surprise. Where are they? Where are who? The girls. Lucy and Rosie. What have you done with them? Thornton leaned back in his chair. I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. Your men took them, this morning. Ruth Wilson saw everything. Ah, that. Thornton's smile widened. A county matter, I'm afraid. Questions have been raised about Mr. Callahan's fitness as a father, abandoning his children to chase after after you. Clara's blood went cold. You can't do this. I can do whatever I want, Mrs. Whitmore. I have friends in high places, judges, officials, people who understand how the world works. Those children have done nothing wrong. Of course not. They're victims. Victims of a father who put his own desires above their welfare. Victims of a woman who inserted herself into their lives for her own gain. Clara stepped closer. Her hands were shaking. Where are they? Thornton stood, walked around the desk, stood close enough that she could smell his cologne-expensive cloying. They're safe. For now. In the care of proper guardians, who will ensure they're raised correctly. You mean people you control? I mean people who understand their place. His eyes glittered. Unlike you. Clara's hand moved before she could stop it, slapped him hard across the face. Thornton didn't flinch, just smiled wider, a red mark blooming on his cheek. Assault, in front of witnesses. He nodded toward the window where faces peered in from the street. That won't help your case, Mrs. Whitmore. I don't care about my case. I care about those girls. Then leave. Leave Millbrook. Leave Montana. Go somewhere no one knows you and start over. He leaned closer. Do that, and I'll make sure the children are returned to their father, unharmed. And if I don't, then things will get complicated. For everyone. Clara stared at him. This man who had destroyed her life once already, who was now holding 2 innocent children hostage to destroy it again. You're a monster. I'm a businessman. There's a difference. Thornton walked back to his desk. You have 24 hours, Mrs. Whitmore. After that, my generosity ends. Clara turned and walked out. She didn't go far, just to the telegraph office where she sent a message to Helena, to Jake. 3 words. Come home now. Then she waited. Jake arrived at dawn the next day, horse-lathered, face gray with exhaustion. Where are they? I don't know. Thornton won't say. I'll kill him? No, that's what he wants. Clara grabbed his arm. Think. He has judges in his pocket. Officials. If you go after him directly, he'll have you arrested. Then the girls will have no one. Jake's jaw worked. Then what do? We find proof, real proof. Something he can't deny or dismiss. I found some, in Helena, more reports, more witnesses, but it'll take time to build a case. We don't have time. He gave me 24 hours. That was yesterday. Jake's face went white. Then we need a miracle. The miracle came in an unexpected form. Will Tucker arrived at the boarding house that evening, a thin man with haunted eyes and hands that shook when he spoke. I heard what happened, he said, with the children. Can you help? Clara asked. Maybe. There's something I didn't tell Mr. Callahan. Something I was too scared to say. Jake leaned forward. What? Tucker swallowed hard. The day of the accident, when the trees fell. Thornton was there. Clara's heart stopped. What do you mean there? I mean he came to inspect the site, that morning, before the men went up. He saw the reports, saw the rot. And he told the foreman to send them up anyway. That's... Jake's voice shook. That's not negligence. That's murder. I know. Tucker's eyes filled with tears. I've known for 18 months. I watched him give the order. I watched those men climb up knowing what was going to happen. And I said nothing. Why? Clara demanded. Why didn't you say anything? Because he paid me. Because he threatened my family. Because... Tucker broke down. Because I was a coward, and every day since I've wished I'd died with them. Clara looked at Jake. Jake looked at her. Will you testify? Jake asked. In front of witnesses, in front of the whole town. Tucker wiped his face. Yes, God help me, yes. I can't carry this anymore. It might not be enough, Clara said. Thornton will say you're lying, that we paid you. Then we need more witnesses, Jake said. The foreman, the other workers who were there that day. Most of them are dead or gone. Not all of them. Tucker straightened. I know where to find 2 others, men who saw what I saw, men who've been hiding just like me. Hope that dangerous thing flickered in Clara's chest. How long will it take? A day, maybe 2. We don't have a day. Then we make time. Jake stood. His face had changed. No longer gray with fear. Hard now, determined. I'm going to see Thornton. Jake. Not to fight, to negotiate, to buy us the time we need. He won't listen. He will if I give him what he wants. Clara's blood chilled. What does he want? Me, out of his way. I'll offer to sell him the bank, the cattle operations, everything. That'll keep him talking. You can't. I can, and I will. Jake's eyes met hers. None of it matters, Clara. Not the money, not the businesses. Only the girls matter. And you. He was gone before she could argue. Clara paced the boarding house for hours, waiting, praying, bargaining with a God she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. Hattie brought her tea, sat with her in silence. He'll be all right, Hattie said. You don't know that. No. But I know men like him. They don't break easy. Everyone breaks eventually. True. But some people break open instead of breaking down. And when they do, they become something stronger. Clara thought about that. About all the ways she'd been broken. About what she'd become because of it. What if it's not enough? She asked. What if we get the witnesses, build the case, and Thornton still wins? Then we try again, and again, and again, until we win or we die trying. That's not very comforting. Wasn't meant to be. Hattie's smile was grim. Comfort is for people who've given up. You haven't given up yet. No, she hadn't. And she wasn't going to. Jake returned near midnight. His face was drawn, but there was something new in his eyes, something like triumph. He agreed. To what? 3 days. I told him I needed time to draw up the papers for the sale. He believed me. And the girls? Still in his custody, but he promised they won't be harmed, not while the negotiation is ongoing. Clara let out a breath. 3 days. Is that enough? It'll have to be. Jake sat heavily in a chair. Tucker's gone to find the other witnesses. If he's back in time, he will be. You sound sure. I have to be. Doubt won't help us now. Jake looked at her. Really looked. You've changed. Have I? When I found you on that ridge, you were ready to die. Now I have something to live for. Clara met his gaze. Those girls. This fight. Maybe even you, though I haven't decided yet. Jake's mouth twitched, almost a smile. Fair enough. Jake. Yes. Whatever happens, thank you. For coming back. For fighting. I should have fought from the beginning. Yes, you should have, but you're fighting now. That counts for something. He reached out, took her hand. She let him. When this is over, he said, I'm going to ask you again. To marry me. To be a family. And if I say no, then I'll ask again. And again. Until you say yes, or tell me to stop. Clara's heart ached. I might never say yes. Then I'll spend the rest of my life trying to change your mind. She squeezed his hand, said nothing. Some things didn't need words. Tucker returned on the second day. With him came two men, weather-beaten, haunted, carrying the same weight of guilt he carried. This is Samuel Crane and Joseph Bell, Tucker said. They were both there that day. They both saw Thornton give the order. Clara looked at these men, these witnesses who could bring down the most powerful man in Montana. Are you willing to testify in public in front of everyone? They exchanged glances. Then Crane nodded. We've been hiding long enough, he said. It's time to tell the truth. Even if it cost you everything. What have we got left to lose? Our names are already ruined. Our family's gone. All we have is the truth. Might as well use it. Clara felt something shift in her chest, a weight lifting, a door opening. Then we do it tomorrow, she said. At the church, in front of the whole town. Thornton will try to stop us, Jake warned. Let him try. Clara's voice was steel. This time, we're ready. That night Clara didn't sleep. She sat by the window watching the stars, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. Daniel's death, her exile, the ridge, Jake's bargain, the girls, the storm, all of it leading here, to a reckoning 18 months in the making. Tomorrow everything would change, one way or another. She was ready. The church bells rang at noon. Clara stood at the back of the building, heart pounding, watching people file in. Word had spread fast, a public meeting called by Jacob Callahan to address matters of community concern. Thornton's spies had no doubt told him. He would be here. Ready. So was she. Jake stood beside her, Tucker and the other witnesses behind them. His hand found hers squeezed once. You don't have to do this, he said quietly. I can speak. No, this is my fight. Has been from the beginning. Our fight. Clara looked at him. This man who'd failed her and come back, who'd broken and was trying to rebuild. Our fight, she agreed. They walked in together. The church fell silent. Every head turned. Clara saw Martha Jennings near the front, face pale but determined. Hattie Brennan in the back, arms crossed, eyes sharp. The Reverend Patterson at the pulpit, looking like he wished he were anywhere else. And Thornton. He sat in the front pew, flanked by two men. His lawyers, probably. His smile was confident, triumphant. He didn't know what was coming. Clara walked down the aisle. Each step felt like a mile. She kept her back straight, her chin high. When she reached the front, she turned to face the congregation. Thank you for coming, she said. Her voice didn't shake. That surprised her. I know many of you don't want me here. I know what you've heard about me, what you believe. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I'm not here to defend myself. I'm here to tell you the truth. About my husband's death. About the logging accident that killed him and 5 other men. About the man responsible. Thornton's smile flickered. This is absurd. We've been through this. Let her speak. Jake's voice cut through the church like a blade. You had your turn at the last meeting. Now it's hers. Clara took a breath. 18 months ago, my husband Daniel went to work at the South Ridge logging site. He didn't come home. Neither did Samuel Crane's brother, or Joseph Bell's father, or the husbands of Martha Jennings and Rebecca Marsh and 3 other women who are too afraid to be here today. She paused. Let the names sink in. We were told it was an accident. Bad luck. Wrong place, wrong time. We were told our husbands were reckless, careless, that they brought it on themselves. Her voice hardened. We were lied to. Thornton stood. I won't sit here and listen to... You'll sit down, Mr. Thornton. Clara's voice was ice. Or I'll have you removed. Gasps. Shocked looks. Thornton's face reddened. Jake stepped forward. Sheriff Taylor is outside. Along with the county marshal, They're very interested in what we have to say." Thornton sank back into his seat. His confidence had cracked. Clara could see it. "Good." 3 weeks before the accident, Clara continued, a safety inspection was conducted at South Ridge. The report which I have here, she held up the paper, states clearly that the section where those men were working was unsafe. Rotten trees, unstable ground. The recommendation was immediate closure and repair. She handed the report to Reverend Patterson. "Please, read it aloud." Patterson's hands shook as he took the paper. His eyes scanned the words. His face went gray. "Section 7 presents significant hazard," he read. "Recommend immediate suspension of operations until structural improvements can be made. Signed, William Foster, Site Foreman." "That report was delivered to Marshal Thornton," Clara said. 3 weeks before my husband died." All eyes turned to Thornton. "Forgery," he spat. "A desperate woman's fabrication." "Is William Foster a fabrication?" Clara asked. "Is Samuel Crane Joseph Bell Will Tucker?" She gestured to the men standing behind her. All 3 of these men worked that site. All 3 saw what happened. And all 3 are willing to testify under oath. Tucker stepped forward. His voice was thin, reedy, but it carried. "I was there the morning of the accident. So was Mr. Thornton. He came to inspect the site personally." Thornton's face went white. "The foreman showed him the report, told him we needed to shut down, make repairs. Mr. Thornton said—" Tucker's voice broke. He steadied himself. "He said repairs cost money. Said we'd be careful. Said to send the men up anyway." "That's a lie." "It's the truth." Samuel Crane stepped forward, an older man with grief carved into every line of his face. "I heard the same thing. My brother was one of those men. He didn't want to go up. Said the trees didn't sound right, didn't feel right. But Thornton said anyone who refused would be fired. So my brother climbed, and he died." Joseph Bell spoke next, younger, angrier. "My father asked questions after the accident, started talking to people, gathering evidence. 2 weeks later, his house burned down, with him inside." The church erupted. Shouts, accusations, people on their feet. "Order." Patterson's voice cracked. "Please order." Clara raised her hand. The noise died slowly. "Marshal Thornton didn't just cause those deaths," she said. "He covered them up. He destroyed evidence. He silenced witnesses. And when that wasn't enough..." Her eyes found Thornton's. "He blamed the widows, spread rumors, destroyed reputations, made sure that anyone who questioned him would be too broken, too isolated, too discredited to fight back." She stepped closer to him. "You took my husband. You took my name. You took 18 months of my life." Her voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried to every corner of the church. "But you didn't take me. And now everyone knows what you are." Thornton's composure shattered. "You have no proof. This is hearsay gossip, the ravings of a desperate woman and men I paid to—" He stopped. Too late. The church went silent. "Men you paid," Clara repeated, "to do what Mr. Thornton—" His mouth worked. Nothing came out. "Sheriff Taylor?" Jake's voice rang out. "I think you have what you need." The doors at the back of the church opened. Taylor walked in, 2 deputies behind him. "Marshal Thornton," Taylor said, "you're under arrest for criminal negligence resulting in death. Additional charges may be filed pending investigation." Thornton stood, his face twisted with rage. "You can't do this. I own this town. I own you." "Not anymore." Taylor's voice was flat. "Hands, please." For a moment, Clara thought Thornton would run, or fight. His eyes darted around the church, looking for allies, finding none. Then his shoulders slumped. The fight went out of him. As the deputies led him away, he passed Clara. Stopped. "This isn't over," he hissed. "Yes," Clara said. "It is." He was gone. The church erupted again, but differently this time. Relief, joy, neighbors turning to neighbors, talking, crying, embracing. Martha Jennings pushed through the crowd, threw her arms around Clara. "Thank you, thank you." Clara held her tight. "Thank yourself. You spoke up when it mattered. Because you showed me I could." Others came. Other widows. Other families who'd lost someone to Thornton's greed. They touched Clara's hand, whispered gratitude, wept tears they'd been holding for too long. Through it all, Clara looked for one face. She found it at the edge of the crowd. Jake watching her with something in his eyes she couldn't name. She went to him. "We did it," she said. "You did it. We." She took his hand. Together. That was the deal. His fingers tightened around hers. Clara. The girls. She'd almost forgotten. Thornton's arrest. The children still in custody somewhere. Where are they? I don't know. But Thornton's people will scatter now. We need to find them before... Mr. Callahan. A boy pushed through the crowd. 12, maybe 13. Breathless. "There's people at the old Henderson place. Edge of town. They've got kids with them. 2 girls. Jake was moving before the boy finished speaking. They rode hard. Clara behind Jake on his horse, clinging to his waist as they flew over frozen ground. The Henderson place was abandoned. Had been for years. A sagging farmhouse, a collapsed barn. 3 men stood in the yard. They saw Jake coming and scattered 2 on foot, 1 on horseback. Jake didn't chase them. He jumped from the saddle, ran to the house, kicked in the door. Clara was right behind him. The house was dark, cold. It smelled like mold and fear. "Lucy, Rosie." A sound from the back room, muffled crying. Jake ran. Clara followed. They found them in what had once been a bedroom. Rosie huddled in the corner, face streaked with tears. Lucy standing in front of her, arms spread protecting. "Papa." Rosie flew into Jake's arms. He caught her, held her so tight, Clara thought he might break her. Lucy didn't move. Her eyes, those old eyes, found Clara's. "You came," she said. "Of course I came." "They said..." Lucy's voice cracked. "They said no one was coming, that Papa had given us away, that we were going to live somewhere else and never see you again." Clara knelt, opened her arms. Lucy crashed into her, buried her face against Clara's shoulder, and sobbed raw, ugly, heartbroken sobs that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than her small body should hold. "I'm sorry," Clara whispered. "I'm so sorry. I should have been there. You're here now." Lucy's arms tightened. "Don't leave. Please, don't ever leave." Clara closed her eyes, felt this child, this fierce, wounded, wonderful child trembling against her. "I won't," she said. "I promise." And this time she meant it. They rode home slowly, Rosie asleep against Jake's chest. Lucy pressed close to Clara, refusing to let go. The ranch looked different somehow. Same house, same barn, same snow-covered fields. But different. It looked like home. Inside, Ruth Wilson had a fire going, food on the table. She took one look at the girls and burst into tears. "They're safe. Oh, thank God they're safe."